If you're listening, you probably know that feeling, that specific kind of irritating restlessness. You've got that one really important job on your list, the one that could actually move things forward on your big goals.
Yeah, the needle mover.
Exactly. But instead of starting it, you're like, checking emails you just cleared 5 minutes ago.
Or you find yourself suddenly deep into some random 10-minute videos about something totally unrelated.
Right. The hard work feels important, sure, but somehow the urgent pings feel essential.
It's pretty much the classic sign of modern overstimulation. We know deep down we can do focused work.
We do.
But we feel constantly pulled away watching goals drift because, well, our attention is this scarce resource, and it's being actively managed by outside forces.
Okay.
Understanding that whole mechanism and maybe how to short-circuit it, that's really our mission today.
Okay, let's dive in then. This is our deep dive into the whole concept of the dopamine detox.
Yeah.
We want to go beyond just the trendy wellness aspect. We're looking at a guide that's really designed strategically to help us stop leaking focus all over the place. We need to get why our brains are wired this way, how modern tech exploits that wiring, and then crucially, how to actually use a solid 3-step method to train our brains to actually enjoy doing the hard things.
And we'll definitely need to clear up what dopamine really does because it gets mislabeled all the time.
Yeah, the pleasure chemical thing.
Exactly. We'll talk about how algorithms and even, the food we eat have become these master attention hijackers.
Okay.
And then walk through some really practical techniques for building consistency and cultivating that long-term thinking, which is ultimately the best antidote to this quick-hit culture we're in.
Right. Let's start right there at the beginning. Dopamine. We hear pleasure chemicals constantly, but the sources we looked at are pretty emphatic that this is just wrong.
It really is. And understanding the biology here is fascinating.
So if it's not pleasure, what is it actually doing?
Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical, it's the anticipation chemical. It's a neurotransmitter. Its job is to drive the pursuit of things we think will lead to pleasure or survival.
Ah, okay. Like food or relationships.
Precisely. Nourishing food, strong social bonds, it gives us the desire to take action. It's basically the force of motivation, really critical for, evolutionary survival.
So it's the engine driving us to seek things out. The molecule of more, as some sources call it.
That's a great way to put it.
And the deeper we look, the clearer it seems that the more we keep triggering it constantly, the higher our tolerance gets.
Exactly.
We need a bigger hit, faster, just to feel that same drive.
That's the mechanism. It becomes self-reinforcing. It sets up this tolerance loop, which is very similar to addiction.
And we're not just talking drugs or alcohol here, are we?
Oh, not at all. We're talking about anything that's highly stimulating. Gambling, video games, constantly refreshing social media, shopping, absolutely. And even certain kinds of really demanding work can become addictive in this sense. We condition ourselves to just crave that next level of intensity.
And this craving, this is exactly what modern society seems built to exploit. If our attention is this scarce asset, who are the main players hijacking it?
Well, the sources point pretty strongly in two main directions: technology and the food industry.
Okay, let's take tech first.
On the technology side, you've got apps like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. These are, frankly, masterpieces of psychological engineering. They use notifications, sure, but also these incredibly sophisticated, customized algorithms. They create what the sources call a never-ending loop of content.
Tailored just for me.
Tailored specifically to your weak spots, designed to keep you hooked, minute after minute after minute.
That's unsettling. The idea that we're not just using the internet, but it's kind of using us.
Yeah.
Guiding our focus based on its own, profit motives.
It's a powerful dynamic. And these optimization efforts, they go beyond just our screens, right? The food industry, it leverages our deep, innate, evolutionary craving for sweet foods.
Ah, the sugar connection.
Yeah. Professor Suzanne Klaus points out that the combination of sugar and fat is especially good at stimulating the brain's reward system. It signals high caloric density, something our ancestors desperately needed.
And marketers know this.
Oh, they spend millions exploiting that vulnerability.
But we hear so many conflicting things about sugar. Is it really addictive in the same way as, say, hard drugs?
That's where there's some debate. You have experts like Robert Lustig who draw parallels between sugar's power and nicotine's habit-forming nature. It's compelling.
But others disagree.
Others, like Tom Sanders, push back. They note that people don't typically get true severe withdrawal symptoms when they cut sugar, not like you would with narcotics.
Okay.
But whether you call it addiction or not, the core point remains. Our brains are being trained to expect these quick, intense rewards from food, just like they are from tech.
So let's paint the picture. We spend all morning swimming in these high-stimulation rewards notifications, maybe a sugary breakfast, endless videos. What happens when we finally, turn off the phone and sit down to write that difficult report?
Ah, that's the crux of it. That's the stimulation wavelength gap.
Explain that.
All that constant high external stimulation leads to this state of, well, chronic overstimulation. So when you try to shift gears to a hard
This
task.
needs focus, right?
Yeah.
Low, steady effort.
Exactly. It requires a low, consistent internal level of stimulation. And compared to the fireworks you've been experiencing, it feels excruciatingly dull, unappealing.
Can you give a concrete example of what that gap feels like?
Sure, imagine you switch immediately from scrolling, say, TikTok, where you get a novel, high-intensity visual hit every 5 seconds, to trying to analyze a dense spreadsheet.
Oof.
Your
Yeah.
brain's been running on the equivalent of rocket fuel. Now you're asking it to, sip tea and calculate compound interest.
It feels impossible.
The sheer boredom makes that difficult task feel disproportionately heavy, impossible to even start. And that feeling that I just can't focus, that leads straight to procrastination.
This isn't just about getting through emails, though. The sources link this constant overstimulation to something even more concerning, losing our long-term perspective.
Yes. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, like overall success in life or work, researchers like Dr. Edward Banfield at Harvard found that one of the best predictors of long-term achievement is simply the ability to think several years into the future while making decisions today.
But the modern world, with all this stimulation, it seems to push us firmly into the short-term trap.
It absolutely does, because we're constantly getting fast feedback. Chamath Palihapitiya, the former Facebook exec,
Yeah.
he talked about how this cycle, the likes, the comments, the instant replies, it literally wires the brain for super fast feedback.
So we start expecting everything to happen instantly.
We condition ourselves to expect immediate results, immediate validation for everything we do, no matter how complex the actual goal is.
And that creates a totally distorted mental model of how things work. If we expect instant success.
Then real-world tasks, things that take months or even years of steady effort, they start to seem insurmountable, unfair even.
Yeah, you can see how that would foster resentment.
Hmm.
Or maybe jealousy towards people who seem like overnight successes.
Absolutely. Because we think, well, I should have that too. Why isn't it happening fast for me? It erodes self-esteem because we blame ourselves for not having the discipline.
That the short-term model tells us we should have.
Exactly. We completely lose sight of the need for patience, real patience.
But hold on. In today's world, especially with the gig economy and constant change, speed does matter, doesn't it? Isn't some super fast feedback needed to stay competitive? How do we balance that need for speed with this patient, long-term model?
That's a great point. Speed in execution is often valuable, yes. But the underlying mindset, the strategic view, that needs to be long-term. Look at the classic example, Amazon, founded back in 1994. Now, the founder chose to operate with this deep foundational consistency, reinvesting heavily.
Right, they didn't make a profit for ages.
They waited until 2003 for their first profitable year. The key isn't just that they waited 9 years. The key is they chose to prioritize building strong foundations over chasing immediate gratification. Strategic patience.
So the mindset shift is choosing to, build the foundation consistently, brick by brick, rather than rushing to just paint the outside.
That's a perfect analogy. And that translates directly into the practical daily routine we need to build.
How so?
It means we have to actively start rewiring our brains, training them to accept that real value, lasting value, is accumulated one small, consistent brick at a time. And we kickstart that rewiring with the detox method.
Okay, that brings us nicely to the prescription. Let's clarify this term, dopamine detox. The sources offer a bit of a scientific caveat, don't they?
They do, and it's important. Scientifically speaking, you aren't really detoxing from having too much dopamine floating around.
Okay, so what are you doing?
You're deliberately reducing external stimulation. The goal is to reset your baseline sensitivity and reduce your dependency on those constant external triggers.
So it's about getting into the right state of mind.
Exactly. Achieving that calmer, more focused state where you can willingly, even eagerly, tackle those major tasks.
The guide we looked at offers 3 different approaches depending on how much someone wants to commit.
Right. You've got the really intense option, the 48-hour complete detox. This one's pretty radical.
What does it involve?
Eliminating basically all major stimulants. Drugs, alcohol, internet, music, social media, sugar, processed foods, even intense exercise.
Wow. What can you do?
The allowed activities are meant to be very contemplative. Things like journaling, meditating, gentle stretching, maybe some mindful walking.
Okay, that's the deep end. What else?
Then there's the 24-hour detox, shorter, a bit less demanding. And finally, probably the most sustainable for many people, the partial detox.
How does that work?
With the partial detox, you just identify and eliminate your single biggest source of problematic stimulation. Maybe it's binge watching YouTube or constantly checking the news or scrolling Instagram. Just tackle the main offender.
Right. Okay, let's get into the practical side. The actionable 3-step method for putting this into practice, regardless of which detox type you choose. Step 1 is identify.
Yeah, this is all about awareness. You have to know your enemy, so to speak.
So what do you do?
You create 2 very specific lists. Your cans, these are the allowed activities, things that are productive or restful, like working on that specific project, reading a physical book, moderate exercise.
Okay. And the other list?
Your can'ts, these are the activities you're actively avoiding. Things like checking emails after 5 p.m., endlessly refreshing Twitter, eating sugary snacks between meals. Be specific.
Got it. Identify your triggers and allowed alternatives. Step 2 sounds intriguing and maybe highly effective. Add friction.
Yes. The principle here is wonderfully simple. Make the undesirable behaviors harder to do.
Why does that work?
Because fundamentally, humans are wired to conserve energy. We're kind of lazy, evolutionarily speaking, and we can use that.
How?
If we increase the number of steps or the effort required to access a distraction, our brain's natural resistance to wasting energy kicks in. We're more likely to just not bother and choose the path of least resistance instead.
Which we've hopefully designed to be the productive path.
Exactly.
Give us a few examples of adding friction, maybe beyond just turning off notifications, which lots of people already do.
Okay, if social media is your big time drain, use browser extensions like Newsfeed Eradicator. They basically make those sites boring, removing the infinite scroll.
Ah, clever.
If your phone is the main problem, don't just put it on silent, put it in a different room. Or use a lockbox with a timer, say 30 minutes before it unlocks.
Some people go further.
Oh yeah. The sources mention an extreme example. Putting your internet modem in a storage room where you literally have to take like 12 physical steps to go get it and plug it back in.
That sounds absurd, but I guess it highlights how low our willpower really is when the friction is 0.
Precisely. The easier it is, the more likely we are to do it, good or bad. And conversely, you must reduce friction for the good behaviors.
Like what?
If you want to write that report, leave the Word document open and minimized on your desktop, ready to click. If you want to read more, leave the book open on your bedside table. Use that psychological laziness to your advantage.
Okay, identify, add friction. And step 3 is critical because it sets the tone for the whole day.
Yeah.
Start first thing in the morning.
Absolutely essential. That first hour, maybe even 90 minutes, it sets your brain's stimulation baseline for the entire day.
So what should that look like?
Create a simple, repeatable routine. Maybe meditate for 10 minutes, do some stretching, write down your main goals for the day, or a couple things you're grateful for, something calm.
Low stimulation.
Very low stimulation. And the absolutely critical part is doing this before you access any open systems. Before email, before social media, before the news.
That brings us neatly to another key concept for managing focus during the actual workday. This distinction between open and closed systems. Why is that so important?
We have to be really wary of open systems. They are essentially doorways to continuous potential overstimulation.
Define open system.
An open system provides a constant, never-ending supply of new stimuli and distraction risk. Think about your email inbox. It never ends. Social media feeds, general internet browsing, the news cycle. There's no done, no win condition.
Just an infinite loop.
Exactly.
And closed systems, they're the antidote.
Pretty much, yes. Closed systems offer very little or even no room for distraction. They force you to focus on the specific task at hand.
Like what, specifically?
Working on a defined, finite project, a Word document for that report, a specific spreadsheet you need to analyze, a presentation deck you're building.
And the advice is?
Always try to start your working day with a closed system. Establish that lower necessary wavelength of stimulation before you expose yourself to the potential chaos of the open systems later on.
Makes sense. So once we've structured our environment like this, how do we actually define success?
Yeah.
The sources boil productivity down to 3 really powerful words.
They do. Productivity is essentially the sum of focus, consistency, and impact.
Okay, unpack that.
It means having consistent focus directed towards your most impactful tasks. That's the goal. And developing that laser sharp focus, well, it really comes down to routine.
What kind of routine?
Being in the same place, ideally at the same time each day for your deep work, eliminating those distractions. We talked about adding friction, choosing a calming trigger to start, maybe a specific song or a cup of tea,
And then just starting.
and then getting started immediately. Build momentum. Don't wait around for motivation to strike. Work in focus, uninterrupted blocks. Maybe 45 minutes is a good starting point for intense effort, then take a short break.
We have to be realistic, though. Relapse happens, right? Old habits die hard, and the world is constantly trying to grab our attention back.
Oh, absolutely. Relapse is normal. You have to expect it. The world is actively working against your focus in many ways.
So how do we build long-term maintenance against that relentless pressure?
Well, partly it's having a contingency plan. Visualize that moment when you're about to slip check your phone, open that distracting tab, and mentally reacting differently. What will you do instead?
Oh.
But maybe even more importantly, the sources suggest focusing on actively cultivating the here and now neurotransmitters.
Not just dopamine. Which ones are these?
Endorphin, oxytocin, and serotonin. These are the ones that tend to make you feel calmer, more content, more present in the moment.
That's a really key distinction. If dopamine is all about the pursuit of future excitement or reward, what role do serotonin and oxytocin play in making the present more fulfilling?
It's a great question. Dopamine is often driven by scarcity, novelty, what's next, what am I missing?
Yeah.
The here and now neurotransmitters like serotonin and oxytocin, they're more associated with feelings of safety, connection, satisfaction, presence. Serotonin gives you that sense of well-being, contentment. Oxytocin is about trust, bonding, social connection.
So cultivating those makes the current moment feel better.
Exactly. When you actively cultivate these through present-focused activities, the immediate moment itself feels richer, more rewarding, less boring. And that naturally reduces the urgent need for some external high-intensity hit of novelty.
What are some of those specific grounding activities that help cultivate that presence?
The guide offers a really simple but effective list. Things like meditation, focusing on your breath, or maybe the five senses.
Okay.
Gentle stretching, practicing mindfulness in everyday activities like eating slowly, really tasting your food, noticing the textures.
Things we can actually do.
Absolutely. Deep social interactions, but without devices present. Really connecting. Contemplative walking, just observing your environment as if you're seeing it for the very first time, noticing details.
And maybe the hardest one for many of us, intentional boredom.
Yeah, just being okay with doing absolutely nothing for a moment. Resisting the urge to fill every single second. That focus on cultivating presence rather than just fighting distraction, that's where the real deep fulfillment seems to lie. So ultimately, the choice for you, the listener, is pretty fundamental. You can consciously choose to control your focus, or you can passively let someone else take it away, usually for their own benefit or profit.
Right.
When you actively work to reduce that constant external stimulation, you naturally immerse yourself more fully. In your work, yes, but also in your relationships, in your own thoughts. And that leads to a deeper sense of fulfillment, something far more sustaining than just temporary excitement.
It's about building something lasting.
Exactly. That sustained, focused effort is how major goals actually get accomplished in the real world.
Yeah. So as you think about the insights from this deep dive, remember that true productivity isn't really defined by how busy or stimulated you feel. It's defined by that consistent focus on impactful tasks. Maybe consider implementing your own 30-day challenge.
Yeah.
Pick a detox type that feels right. Set up that closed system routine for your most important work, and then ask yourself, what could actually change in your life if you prioritized building the foundations of your success, your own personal Amazon, maybe one consistent low-stimulation brick at a time?